Will the Committee of the Whole Finance for January 6, 2026 please come to order? Will the clerk please take the roll?
Berger.
Here.
Hines.
Here.
Maxwell.
Here.
May. Here. Reese.
Here.
Stugmeyer.
Here.
Yurchak.
Here.
Rosberg.
Here. You all had an opportunity to review the minutes of the Committee of the Whole Finance of December 16, 2025. Could I get a motion to accept those minutes?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from December the 16th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes have been approved. So at the beginning of the term, we have some housekeeping to do. We need to have an election of the Clerk of Council and Deputy Clerk of Council.
The discussion is just now, and then we do the actual election during.
Okay, so again, I've just been informed that the discussion is now. We will actually do the election during the council meeting. Julie Darlington has been serving us for the last few years. She's done a tremendous job. I will open this up to see if anybody has any discussion on this. Okay, and our assistant, or our deputy clerk,
Rachel Wallace.
has been Rachel Wallace, and we, again, I think would be served very well with Rachel. We have sent out commission and committee assignments. I'd like to see if there's any discussion on that. I can read those off if you would like. Well, thank you, Miss Julie.
Yep.
I have the Public Ways being chaired by Mr. Maxwell and having Mr. Berger and Mr. Yurchak on that committee. Economic Development and Planning, Ms. Hines chairing with Councilmember May and Councilmember Reese on that committee. Public Service, Councilmember Stugmeyer chairing with Councilmember Maxwell and Berger on that. Public Safety chaired by Councilmember Yurchak and supported by Councilmember May and Hines. Any discussion on those committee assignments? Okay. Commissions and boards, I have assigned Mr. Reese to the Airport Commission, Mr. Maxwell to the Cemetery Board, Mr. Berger to TV Commission, Mr. Stugmeyer to Senior Citizens. Shade Tree Commission has been served for years by Councilmember Hines and assigned her to that. Stormwater Commission, Councilmember May. And then Audit Committee will be myself, Councilmember Stugmeyer, and Councilmember May. And then the Electric and Power is per the Service Department, or the Service Committee, and Planning Commission is per Economic Development and Planning. Any discussion on those items? Okay. We will have to have an election of a Council President Pro Tem and election of a Vice President Pro Tem. And I would like to open nominations at this time, and then we will do the voting, I believe, during the meeting, or do we want to hold the nominations for later?
Yeah, do the nominations at
Okay.
the actual council meeting itself.
Okay. You've also had the opportunity to review the rules of council for 26-27. The only change that I suggested from the last few years has been to remove that if a council member does not spend the night in the city limits, that they need to notify the clerk of court or clerk of council. I found that to be an old rule with cell phones and emails. I always did report, but I always got questioned, why are you reporting this to me? Because it was one of the rules. I don't know that it's necessary. I don't know how you folks feel about that. If it's an extended period of time, yes, I would ask that you let us know, but if it's just one night, I don't know if it's necessary. I'll open it up with administration's concerns too, if there's any.
Julie would be crazy with my schedule, so I think that's a good idea.
Yeah.
Agreed.
I think we all communicate well with electronics today, and I think that's just an old rule that was just kind of in there and was not always being adhered to. So, okay. Let's move on to our draft legislation. Mr. Testa.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. President. This item is actually to pay the December bill for our programming and content costs. We were hoping we would get the bill after our second meeting of the month, but we did get it and it's due by the 15th, and we're subject to a 1.5% late fee, and the programming cost for the month would be $128,000. So we brought this to council tonight to avoid a potential $2,000 late fee.
Okay. Any discussion on this?
And this is one of the contracts that eventually, once everything is switched over to fiber, that this will be going away, correct?
Well,
No,
the content cost is actually made up of streaming and cable costs. So as we move forward, the proportion of streaming costs will continue to increase until
Right.
eventually it's entirely streaming costs.
right, and the cable costs will come out of it. So,
That's correct.
And is this a regular monthly bill? Is it yearly, quarterly?
No, it's a monthly bill.
Okay.
The way I see it in the ordinance, it refers to 2.675 million. And that was a big concern for me, that the content in section I of that ordinance, the figure is not to exceed 2.675 million.
Yeah, you know what, Mr. President, I'm sorry, I think I've confused myself here. That's the reason we're bringing this legislation now, is because we pay the December bill with 2026 money. So that's normal. Typically during the calendar year, we pay the previous month's December through November, and then the next December comes in the following year. So I apologize. I think I made this more confusing than it needs to be. It is. So last year's contract was estimated at $2.8 million. This is a decrease to a total of $2.675 but we need to have the approval of this to be able to pay the bill that we're going to get, that we've got, that's going to be due on January 15th of this year for December of 2025.
So we are looking at 2.675 million, correct?
That's correct. Now,
Okay.
that would, Councilwoman May, that would be the amount for the entire year. I was thinking in my mind the 128 for December, but the 2.675 is the estimated content cost for the combination of cable programming and streaming program for a 12-month period.
And those funds come from where?
Those funds come from CityLink revenues.
Okay. Mr. Stugmeyer, what would you like to do? I know they're asking us.
We'll suspend and call that
Okay.
this evening.
All
That'll
right.
be ordinance number 26-001.
001, thank you.
Okay. And let's move on to the agenda for the regular city council meeting. Resolution number 25-20 on second reading. That was sponsored by Mr. Parrish. Does anybody want to, I'm trying to,
I can speak to that if you'd
Yes,
like,
if you
Mr.
would,
President.
please, Mr.
Sure.
Hitchcock.
In lieu of Ms. Fix not being in attendance this evening, this is an annual item that we do. Essentially, the county auditor's office receives monies that are due and payable to the city, but they are the receipt agency of those dollars. We just make this request so that we can capture those payments and those monies as soon as possible. I think at the time of introducing this resolution, Ms. Fix said it would be okay to go to 3 readings if you chose to do that. So I would ask that you consider moving that to 3rd reading at this point in time.
and let's see. Mr. Berger, you want to take that for us?
Sure.
Move to 3rd? Okay. Ordinance number 25-218.
Thank you, Mr. President. Items 25 218, 219, and 220 are similar in that they are requests to increase utility rates. This one in particular is for the, that's the electric. It was the first one.
It is electric.
The electric rate increase. So I'd like to just provide a basic overview because I know a couple of you probably have questions, but periodically, typically every 3 to 5 years, the city hires a specialized accounting firm to do what's known as a cost of service study. We'll often just describe it as a rate study. But what they're doing is they're looking at all of our costs, our debt structure, our pricing, and they're basically going through and coming up with new rates that we should be charging based on their analysis to meet a few different parameters. So one item is we can't and don't want to increase rates to the point that we're building unnecessary reserves more than what we need, because we could be subject to price gouging concerns, and we'd be overcharging our residents and customers. So they're looking to make sure that they're not proposing rates that are higher than they need to be. The second piece of that, the other side of the coin, is that that we are charging rates that are sufficient to be able to cover the costs of operations as well as capital replacement costs in the system. And there's a lot that goes into that, looking at our long-term capital projections, estimates on inflation, changes in the cost of chemicals, building materials, those type of things. And then the third piece of that is making sure that the rates generate revenue sufficient to basically generate an operating surplus that allows us to meet all of our debt covenants. So typically, a lot of utility projects are financed with debt. Along with that, there's usually a number of financial ratios that need to be met, including an operating surplus that's generated annually. The rate studies that led to these three pieces of legislation had actually been conducted over the last couple of years. So the electric rate study is new in that that study was completed this year, and the recommendation is for a 5% increase. Now, that doesn't mean every line item in that budget's going to go up, or every revenue item goes up by 5%. What it really means is that the rate's designed to generate an additional 5% of revenue. In this particular case, it's roughly 5% would equate to about $1,625,000 of additional revenue. More detailed look takes that and breaks it down through all of our different customer and rate classes, and there are multiple rate classes associated with electric. We have rates for inside and outside the city for different customers, different size customers, and then within each of those, there's typically a tier of rates that apply based on usage, and there's typically a fixed component known as a capacity charge. We've known for about a year, and we discussed with the Public Service Committee nearly a year ago that the expectation would be somewhere in the neighborhood of 3 to 5%. The accounting firm actually gave us two potential rate tracks. The one that we selected is a 5% increase first year, 5% increase for the second year, and then a 3% increase the third year, 3% increase for the fourth year. The alternative track was 3.5% increases for each of 4 years. The reason the legislation relates to the first track that I mentioned is because that's what's built into the budget that was approved in December for 2026. In other words, the 2026 budget assumes that we would generate approximately another $1.6 million in revenue off of a 5% rate increase. I can tell you that with the electric rate increase on a typical bill. And a typical bill is what I'm estimating to be about 875 kilowatts of usage. And this would be for a residential customer. The increase would equate to approximately $5.53 per month more than what they're paying now for electric service.
And Mr. Testa, do we know, does the city know what we're going to do with this extra revenue? Do we have plans for it yet?
Yeah, so the revenue really is used for a couple of things. It's used to pay for, some of it just our ongoing expenses, and then some of it's also to build enough of a cash reserve. In colloquial terms, you can kind of think of it as a rainy day fund, but it's more specific than that. It's really a target number that is designed to make sure that with the ebbs and flows of operations, we're maintaining debt covenants, and that we've got sufficient funds on hand to cover our near-term costs, and then anything that unexpected might happen. I can tell you that broadly speaking, the cash reserve for the electric department would be somewhere in the neighborhood of about $9 million. So that would be what the ending fund balance target would be at the end of each of our operating years, at least for the next few years.
And the other thing too is, I know most of the council I think knows this, but all of our utilities, if someone doesn't realize, are enterprise funds, and basically all the different utilities are businesses unto themselves. The electric department, the water department, and so all of the funding and everything that continues to run those departments comes from user fees. Nothing from tax dollars or anything else in the budget goes over there. So that's why the rates are looked at like by an outside source, and they are, so that we can keep a good track on what that's going to look like over a 4 or 5 year period as far as equipment and everything else, because they do not depend on anything but the fees that we're talking about raising here. So.
Oh, go ahead. Ms. Chestnut, when was the last time that the rates were increased?
Well, it's been a while since the electric rate was increased. I think it's been at least since 2022. And then other utility rates. It's been a little while. I think, just speaking very frankly, I think we could have completed rate studies more frequently and then adopted those on a regular basis. Our plan under Service Director Hiscock is that we're probably going to do a new rate study every 3 years, with the idea that typically we'd get a 3-year rate design. I can tell you that from doing research on competitor rates, other cities and governmental unit rates, that it's fairly common for a city council or the legislative body to adopt the entire rate study design, meaning in one fell swoop they say, okay, 5% this year, then 5% next year, 3%, 3%, and that's spelled out in the ordinance, so you know what your rates are going to look like for the next 4 years. This is as I mentioned, really the first year of any rate increase that would be requested for the electric department. But the process is similar for water and sewer in that we're actually in the second year of each of those rate increases, but we only adopted the first year last year. So the rate increase for water and sewer is not a surprise. It's something we've known about. It was presented to the council 1.5 years ago. It's just that at that time we just adopted 1 year at a time, with the understanding that we'd take another look at it at the beginning of the next year.
All right, thank you.
Further discussion?
With these rate increases, are we taking into consideration the fact that we're going to need another line into the city at some point?
Yeah, so I think what you're talking about is a second delivery point. And I will say that those costs have very little impact on this study for a couple of reasons. One, in the cost structure that we put together for this rate increase, at the time we were estimating, we think that maybe cost $10 million 10 years down the road. Since that time, the study's been completed. We had the outage. We've talked more about a second delivery point. And the more we learn about that, the more we appreciate that it's probably going to cost a lot more than that. And it's probably going to take several years to build that up. So the impact here, it would be that, yes, that's kind of in there at a generic placeholder of $10 million down the road, but the rate studies are really designed to have the greatest impact is what the expectation is on costs over the horizon, either 3 to 4 to 5 years, whatever the rate study is. So, for example, the next time we would do a rate study, the second delivery point would have a more significant impact because we probably have firmer costs, a better understanding of when those costs would be spent over the years, and that would need to be incorporated into that rate study more than it is in this one.
Okay.
I would add to that it's an important caveat, and without going too far down into the weeds, you have to remember that the power industry is a very complex and heavily regulated federal industry. All of the price tag for a second delivery point would not fall upon the city of Wadsworth. In fact, we don't have the ability to do that, and that's a reason why for the longest time it hadn't been done. That's a transmission asset, and we are a distribution entity. We are not in the business of transmission assets, and so we would need to partner with a transmission entity in order for that to happen. That partnership would probably allocate costs for that delivery point to a certain degree. Our cost probably would be in that substation, which is really just a different part of the same delivery point, but not involved in the transmission generation and those types of things. So it's a very complicated project. It's going to take several years to do that. We are multiple rate studies away from incorporating all of those costs and really knowing the true costs of that project.
Thank you.
Mr. Sugmeyer, would you move that to third?
Yeah, we'll move all three of these to third reading.
Thank you. And if we could back up to Resolution 2520, I apologize. I did get an email from Ms. Fix today that asks that we do suspend and call that so she can get that paid. So, Mr. Berger, if you could suspend that.
Got it.
Thank you. Any other business for the Committee of the Whole Finance?
I just have one question. Mr. Hiscock, what does, how is these rate studies basically were figured into our budget for this year? So moving these out another 2 weeks, is it affecting anything that we need to do within the city?
Thank you for that.
Budget-wise.
Thank you for that question. So essentially, depending upon when and if council passes these particular rate-related resolutions, it determines when they become effective for us. Realistically, I don't want to speak for Mr. Testa, but
$290,000 per month between the three.
So that's what we're talking about, capturing revenues in a period of time. From our standpoint and being a customer service-oriented entity, we would not invoke mid-month a rate change. We would probably wait to the beginning of a month to do that. So quite honestly, Mr. Yurchak, in reality, if you take another 2 weeks to consider what to do on these matters, while we might be out January's revenue numbers, if we instituted on February 1st, that's probably what we would do if you pass them tonight. Okay. If you would, so.
I had a question about the water and the sewer rates. What percentage are we going up on both of those?
So the water rate increase would be 28%. Sewer would be 8.5%. And then electric, 5%.
And that was this year. Now, in that water and sewer, in the 3-year study, that was this year. And then next year will be
Yeah, it's going to be like
32
so
or
the first year, the water increased by 38%. This year would be 28%, and then the third year would be 32%. Sewer overall would be 8.5% for each of 3 years. I would also just, hope to provide some context here that, all in, the average utility bill for water, sewer, and electric would increase by about $17 a month. From a little bit of a broader context, those 3 utility rates put together, the City of Wadsworth our rate for those is approximately 20% below what our other cities are charging, the average rate of other communities. Even after these increases, if they were to go forward, we'd still be, for those 3 utilities, about 12% less than the average rate in our area. So, no one likes to hear that we have, low utility rates in a sense that, most people are only familiar with the rates that they have here. But based on the rate studies, based on some other analyses that have been done, I would say utility rates in Wadsworth are typically a fair amount less than what our neighboring communities and other rates in Northeast Ohio are for those same utilities.
Go ahead. I have another quick question. So the rates for 3 different utilities are going up. Why would you want to raise them all at once? Maybe you can explain that to me, instead of maybe raising one year, because it seems, I know I've got a lot of calls, believe it or not, today about that, because it was all over social media. But what's the purpose of raising all 3 at once rather than staggering them?
Well, the water and sewer rates, this is just the second year increase of rate studies that were completed back in 2024.
Right.
The electric rate study really was completed roughly in the middle of this year, but it's identifying additional revenues that are needed. And honestly, had that electric rate study been completed back in 2024, we'd probably be looking at the second year's increase. The reality of it is, we've not raised rates very often or very much, and especially since COVID, the cost of many of the things that we rely on, not just materials, but chemicals, equipment, all of those things have gone up a pretty fair clip, and we've tried to keep rates steady and low for as long as we could as a courtesy and take care of our customers. But eventually that catches up with you, and you realize, okay, we've got to kind of pay off some of those costs and also position ourselves as additional costs increases are expected in terms of what we spend our money on. We need to have revenue to support those. So the water and sewer costs actually went into effect in December 1st of 2024. I purposely chose to basically delay those until January 1st, so they would all be together. But typically, it's typical for a community to raise its rates and have them go into effect at the first of the year, because people just tend to think in terms of a 12-month calendar year.
Yeah, thank you.
Mr. Testa, if I could real quick, I know we have a lot of infrastructure, upgrades and repairs that we have slated in the coming years. Will any of these funds be appropriated towards that, or is this strictly just for our cash reserves?
Yeah, so again, the rates are designed to cover some of our operating expenses, also to cover some of our capital expenses, meaning operating and capital expenses that we likely actually spend cash out over the next 3 or 4 years. We have a longer-term 15-year capital budget. Of course, the further out you go, the less precise the estimates are. But I would say those long-term projects, this money really would not be positioned for that. It would be positioned to pay for expenses as we go and to make sure that we keep enough cash in the bank to meet debt requirements and cover the rainy days, so to speak.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Testa, you provided the percentages for water and sewer, but please provide for council and the audience the actual dollar amounts, average dollar amount increases for those.
Yeah, so the average residential customer, and let me clarify that, an average residential customer uses about 4,000 gallons of water a month. Our sewer rates are tied to water usage, so water and sewer is based on about 4,000 gallons per month. Electric customer uses about 875 kilowatt hours per month, and of course that varies a little bit. There's more, in the summer when it's hotter, and winter when it's cold, but it averages about 875 kilowatt hours. So for a typical residential customer, the 28% increase in water rates would increase the average water bill by $9.12 per month. The 8.5% increase for sewer would equate to about a $2.62 increase in the average sewer bill, and then the electric bill, the typical electric bill would be expected to increase by $5.53. And again, that's a total of about $17.27 per month, or roughly about $207 per year.
Thank you for that. Anything else, any other business for Council of the Whole Finance? Can I have a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion.
Second.
We are adjourned. We'll take a 5-minute recess and we'll start with council.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.
Will the regular meeting of Wadsworth City Council for Tuesday, January 6, 2026, please come to order? Will you please silence all cell phones? Rise, we'll say the Pledge of Allegiance, and then remain standing for the invocation. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Almighty God, who has given us this good land to be our heritage, we acknowledge our dependence on you for all things, and we thank you for all your blessings, including the right and privilege to govern ourselves in this free land. We pray that you would grant us all wisdom to make good decisions for the future of this community. Through Christ our Lord we pray. Amen. 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 Will the clerk please take the roll?
Berger?
Here.
Hines?
Here.
Maxwell?
Here.
May? Here. Reese?
Here.
Stugmeyer?
Here.
Yurcheck?
Here.
Rosberg?
Here. You've all had the opportunity to review the minutes of the December 16, 2025 Wadsworth City Council meeting. Could I have a motion to accept those minutes?
Motion to accept.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes have been approved. At this time, we have a very special proclamation for an incredibly special group of young men and coach and athletic director. So, Mayor, if you would please step forward. Guys, why don't you come up and join the mayor?
It is my distinct honor to be able to give a proclamation to our football team as well as our coaches and athletic department. I don't often get to give this fun of a proclamation. And I don't know, I'm going to guess out of this audience, a good portion of us had the opportunity, myself included, to watch this last season, which we went hoarse for most of the season. It was just really a great opportunity, fun season. What an awesome job, and tremendous. And I've got a lot in this proclamation, so I'm going to save my messages for this. But here we go. This is on behalf of the office of the mayor. Whereas the Wadsworth Grizzlies football team completed a truly extraordinary season marked by determination, discipline, and teamwork, and whereas the Grizzlies achieved a perfect regular season record, winning every game by 18 points or more, an accomplishment that reflects both exceptional preparation and dominance on the field performance. And whereas through unwavering effort and competitive excellence, the team secured the conference title with hard-fought 35-17 victory over Hudson, demonstrating resilience and championship character. And whereas in the closing game of the season, the Grizzlies delivered a commanding 50-21 win over Solon, a victory that played a pivotal role in earning the team a well-deserved first-round playoff spot. And whereas the Grizzlies advanced to the regional semifinal, where their thrilling postseason journey concluded with a 42-21 battle against Avon, a game that marked the end of their historic undefeated streak, but not the end of their pride, team spirit, or legacy. And whereas the achievements of this team stand as a testament to the dedication of the players, the leadership of the coaching staff, and the unwavering support of families, fans, and the entire community. And now, therefore, I, Robin L. Lawbaugh, Mayor of the City of Wadsworth, deem it a privilege to proclaim January 6, 2026, to be set aside in the City of Wadsworth in recognizing Wadsworth Grizzlies football team in recognition and celebration of an outstanding season filled with victory, heart, and unforgettable memories. Their accomplishments will be remembered as an enduring source of inspiration and pride for all who support them. Signed and sealed this January 6, 2026, Robin L. Lawbaugh, Mayor of Wadsworth. I'd like to present this to you. And we're going to have Coach Todd say a few words. He doesn't know that. And I will also say at the end of this is Coach Todd kind of got a pretty neat award. And I'm going to let Council President Dan Rosbert talk a little bit about that, as well as the team as a whole received another award. So anyways, I'll mention that, but we want to hear some words from you too, Coach.
Well, thank you very much on behalf of the Wadsworth City School District, the athletic department, and our football team. I'm honored. This group of, so I have our 4 captains here, and this group of young men, we followed this. They were second graders my first year in Wadsworth. And what was tremendous, obviously, you know, their wins have been well documented. They're an elite group of athletes. But set that aside, you know, there's a lot of really good athletes out there, but what set these guys apart from many other groups is their work ethic, their character, and their commitment to excellence, not just on the football field, but in everything that they did. Mayor Lawbaugh mentioned it. We were named the #1 academic football team in the state of Ohio this year, which was something that, you know, we apply for every year. We submit our top 20 players' academic scores and put those up against other teams. And when you think about some of the great districts around the state of Ohio, you know, Wadsworth can proudly say that our football team was the #1 district in the state of Ohio, which is pretty remarkable when you're talking about over 700 public schools that applied for this position. So it just goes to show the excellence that these guys, it goes well beyond the field. The community service projects that we do, we're called upon a lot in this community. And I remind our guys all the time how special of a community that this is, and that every Friday night we represent our community to all the neighboring people that, you know, that we play against, and we take great pride in that, of representing the great city of Wadsworth, and can't be more thrilled to receive this. It's a special award for our program. And really proud, but these guys are what make it work. We give them an opportunity, but they take full advantage of it, and that's really a testament to their upbringing. It really is a testament to this city and what we want to build our program around. So thank you very much.
Coach Todd is a very, very humble man. But I think these four gentlemen up here would agree with me. They wouldn't be at the level that they are without the heart and dedication of that man right there, and their academics, because of what he pushes them to do. And Mr. Campbell, your efforts also. But Coach Todd needs to be recognized too. He was selected by the Cleveland Browns as the Ohio Coach of the Year, or the Cleveland Browns Coach of the Year. And it's just great to see all the accolades that they get. And guys, what I'd like you to do is just tell us where you're going next year, because that's pretty exciting too, especially, Mr. Madigan, and what's going to happen in the future for us. If you just take a minute and tell us.
Yeah, my name is Gavin Madigan, and next year I plan on attending the United States Military Academy at West Point.
My name is Gabe Ludke, and I plan on going to trade schools.
My name is Jacob Ernest, and I plan on attending the University of Pennsylvania.
My name is Calix Lemp, and I plan on attending the United States Air Force Academy.
You've made our city proud, and we thank you for that. You brought us together as a community all fall long when things were a little treacherous at times for all of us, but you gave us something to look forward to on Friday nights and all throughout the week. And on behalf of, I think, everybody up here, the administration, and all the citizens of Wadsworth, thank you. You guys are amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What a way to start our first meeting. In the first meeting of January marks the new 2026-27 term for council, which comes with a number of assignments and appointments. And then the first of these is to elect a clerk of council. So we discussed at Council of the Whole, Ms. Darlington. So I believe we have to have somebody nominate her.
I'll do it. I move to elect Joey Darlington as clerk of council for the new term of 2026 and 2027.
I second that.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations, Ms. Darlington.
Thank you very much.
Is there a motion to elect a clerk, I'm sorry, I'll move on here. A deputy clerk, a motion to elect a deputy clerk for the 26-27 term.
Mr. President, I will do that. I move to elect Rachel Wallace as Deputy Clerk of Council for the new term of 26-27.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Rachel Wallace has been elected as the Deputy Clerk of Council for the 26-27 term. We went over the committee and commission assignments. Is there a motion to accept the committee and commission assignments?
I move to accept the committee and commission assignments for the 26-27 term.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The committee and commission assignments for the 26-27 term are approved. At this time, we need to elect a president pro tem, and I would like to open the floor for nominations for president pro tem.
I would like to nominate Tom Stugmeyer.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Mr. Stugmeyer will be our president pro tem. Is there a motion to elect a vice president pro tem for the 26-27 term?
I'll make a motion to nominate John Yurchek as Vice President Pro Tem.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And Mr. Yurchek is our elected, has been elected Vice President Pro Tem. We have provided the rules of council, and I would accept a motion to approve the rules of council for the 26-27 term.
Mr. President, I move to approve the rules of council for 26-27.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have adopted the 26-27 rules of council. You have had the opportunity to review the minutes of the regular council meeting of December 16th, 2025. May I have a motion to approve those?
I'll make that motion.
Go ahead. I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
The minutes of the regular council meeting of December 16th, 2025 have been approved. At this time, we will entertain, or we will have visitors. If you'd like to address the council, we ask you step forward, state your name and your address for the record, and we'll give you 2 to 3 minutes to address the council. One thing I would remind you is we do not deliberate on that. We don't discuss it. We will listen to anything you have to say at this time. Seeing no visitors that want to address the council, is there any correspondence?
No correspondence.
Okay. And let's move on to our committee and commission reports. The Council of the Whole Finance did meet tonight. And we'll move on to public service. Mr. Stugmeyer?
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Service Committee will meet next Tuesday, January the 13th, 5:30 p.m. here in council chambers.
Okay. Public Safety, Mr. Yurchek?
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Safety is going to meet next Wednesday, the 14th, at tentatively 4:30 p.m. It could possibly move to 5.
Okay. Public Ways, Member Maxwell?
Thank you, Mr. President. Public Ways Committee will meet Monday, January 12th at 6 p.m. in council chambers.
Economic Development and Planning, Councilmember Hines?
Thank you, Mr. President. Economic Development and Planning will meet on Monday. That will be the 12th of January at 5 o'clock here in council chambers.
Like I said, Council, the whole finance met tonight at 6 o'clock. Airport Commission, Councilmember Reese.
Thank you, Mr. President. Airport Commission will meet next on April 16th at 4 o'clock in council chambers.
Stormwater Commission, Member May.
Stormwater Commission next meeting is still to be determined.
Shade Tree Commission, Councilmember Hines.
That will be the 4th Tuesday at 5 o'clock. We do not have a start date yet for the new year, so that's to be determined what month we'll start.
Okay. Planning Commission will meet on Monday, January 12th at 7 o'clock here in council chambers. Cemetery Board, Councilmember Maxwell.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Cemetery Board will meet Wednesday, January 21st at 5:30 in council chambers.
Cable TV Commission, Councilmember Berger.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Cable TV Commission will meet Thursday, February 5th at 4 p.m. here in council chambers.
Okay. And Senior Citizens Commission, Councilmember Stugmeyer.
Thank you again, Mr. President. Senior Citizens Commission will meet on Monday, February the 2nd, 3:30 p.m. That meeting is held at the Suprema Senior Center at 617 School Drive.
Okay. Board of Zoning Appeals will meet on Monday, the 19th at 6:30 here in council chambers. Architectural Design Committee will meet on the 12th at 4:30 here in council chambers, and the Audit Committee will meet on the 14th at 2:30 in the administrative conference room.
Mr. President, I apologize, I misspoke. The Stormwater Commission is actually meeting on January 13th at 5 o'clock
Thank you.
in the chambers.
Perfect. Thank you. All right. I think we will move on to the reading of legislation. Yes, if the clerk would please read the legislation.
We'll start, we have on first reading, ordinance number 26-001 on first reading, sponsored by Councilmember Tom Stugmeyer, discussed at Committee of the Whole. An ordinance authorizing the Director of Public Service to enter into a contract with National Cable Television Cooperative Incorporated, NCTC, for video services required to support CityLink operations and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I make a motion to suspend the three reading rule on ordinance number 26-001.
Second.
Berger,
Yes.
Yuracek,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Hines,
Yes.
Stugmeyer,
Yes.
May,
Yes.
and Maxwell.
Yes.
Mr. President, I call the question on ordinance number 26-001.
Hearing no objection to Councilmember Stugmeyer's proposal to call to question, will the clerk please take a roll call vote on the adoption of ordinance number 26001?
Reese,
Yes.
Stugmeyer,
Yes.
Maxwell,
Yes.
May,
Yes.
Hines,
Yes.
Berger,
Yes.
Yuracek.
Yes.
Ordinance number 26001 has been adopted.
And our second reading is resolution number 25-20 on second reading. It is now sponsored by Councilmember Zach Berger and discussed at Committee of the Whole. A resolution requesting advance payments of money that may be in the Medina County Treasury to the account of the City of Wadsworth as provided for in Section 321.34 of the Ohio Revised Code and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I move that we suspend the three reading rule on ordinance resolution number 25-20.
Second.
May,
Yes.
Maxwell,
Yes.
Berger,
Yes.
Yuracek,
Yes.
Hines,
Yes.
Stugmeyer,
Yes.
and Reese.
Yes.
Mr. President, I call to question on ordinance resolution number 25-20.
Hearing no objection to Councilmember Berger's proposal to call to question, will the clerk please take a roll call vote on the adoption of resolution 25-20?
May,
Yes.
Yuracek,
Yes.
Hines,
Yes.
Reese,
Yes.
Stugmeyer,
Yes.
Maxwell,
Yes.
Berger.
Yes.
Resolution 25-20 has been adopted.
Ordinance number 25-218 on second reading, sponsored by Councilmember Tom Stugmeyer, discussed at Public Service. An ordinance to amend Section 52.01 of the codified ordinances of the City of Wadsworth with regard to electric service rates and to declare an emergency.
Mr. President, I make a motion to move ordinance number 25-218 to a third reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Ordinance number 25-218 has been moved to third reading.
Ordinance number 25-219 on second reading, sponsored by Councilmember Tom Stugmeyer, discussed at Public Service. An ordinance to amend Section 54.23 of the codified ordinances of the City of Wadsworth with regard to water service rates and declaring an emergency.
Mr. President, I make a motion to move ordinance number 25-219 to a third reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Ordinance number 25-219 has been moved to third reading.
And our last one, ordinance number 25-220 on second reading, sponsored by Councilmember Tom Stugmeyer and discussed at Public Service. An ordinance to amend Sections 53.35, 53.37, and 53.38 of the codified ordinances of the City of Wadsworth to increase sewer rates and declare an emergency.
Mr. President, I make a motion to move ordinance number 25-220 to a third reading.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Ordinance number 25-220 has been placed on third reading. This time we move into our other business, and I'm going to defer right to Law Director Proudfoot to give his report as required.
Thank you, Mr. President. Pursuant to Ohio Revised Code Section 733.62, and I quote, "The City Director of Law shall make a report to the legislative authority of the city at its first regular meeting in January of the business of his office, the monies by him collected during the year preceding, and such other matters as he deems proper to promote the good government and welfare of the city." So I'm thankful for the opportunity to address all of you. First, as to monies collected by my office, that isn't exactly how the law department works. So any kind of prosecutions that we have, et cetera, those monies are collected by the court. We honestly probably have one of the smallest budgets of any department in the city, so there's nothing for me to really report on in this area. But it would probably be best for me to begin by describing my office, especially to the new members of council, to provide you with a better basic understanding of what we do and the makeup of the Wadsworth Law Department. So statutorily, the duties of the Director of Law include serving as general legal counsel, for all city officials, and then prosecuting misdemeanor cases in the Wadsworth Municipal Court. As general counsel to city officials, I'm involved in preparing the ordinances that you see in front of you and the resolutions. Paralegal Jessica Chamberlain does a great deal of that work for me. We review and prepare a wide variety of legal documents for the city, contracts. We represent the city of Wadsworth in lawsuits, and I give legal advice on questions posed by any city officials, so anyone sitting up here as well as yourselves. As the prosecutor in the Wadsworth Municipal Court, the Director of Law prosecutes misdemeanor cases against adults that are alleged to have occurred in either the city of Wadsworth or the surrounding townships. The prosecutions are actually handled by my appointed Assistant Law Director, Jared Roberts. I think a lot of you have met him already, even new council members. Further, we handle all appellate cases that come through the city. I'll note that we're a small but fairly efficient law department. It only consists of 4 people. Myself, Assistant Law Director Jared Roberts, and then 2 paralegals, Jessica Chamberlain and Melanie Sontag. As to me and Mr. Roberts, we're both licensed attorneys in the state of Ohio with Juris Doctorates from accredited universities. We both spent multiple years in private practice before we joined the Wadsworth Law Department. As for me, I'm starting my 7th year now with the city, having previously served 4 years as the Assistant Law Director. As to our paralegals, Ms. Chamberlain is a certified paralegal from an accredited program, and she's actually been with the city 29, almost 30 years now, I believe. So she's a wealth of knowledge if you ever have questions for her. Last year, unfortunately, we lost Brenda Fisher to retirement after 35 years of dedicated and quality service to the city. And for those of you that knew Brenda, she was an incredible public servant. But we've been lucky enough to hire Ms. Melanie Sontag. She has a number of ties to Wadsworth and public service in general. She has family members that work for the city in various capacities. When we hired her, she was not a paralegal at the time. She has her bachelor's degree in business, a master's degree in business, but she seemed like the perfect fit, so we hired her in. But one of the requirements that we had for her was that she had to become a certified paralegal within the next couple of years. She actually started that already, and I think has 1 class left, and she'll be done. So she didn't waste any time. She got right to it, and it was fairly efficient about it. As to the business of the Wadsworth Law Department, I'll provide you with some statistical information as it pertains to the prosecutions of crime in Wadsworth Municipal Court. I don't have exact numbers, but these are fairly close. In 2025, we had over 4,000 plus traffic cases, including over 100 OVIs. We had over 500 criminal cases. 5 appeals were filed through the Wadsworth Municipal Court. And lastly, we had 5 jury trials in 2025. We currently have 5 pending lawsuits against the city. In 2025, our department was able to conduct 2 educational training seminars for local law enforcement. In the law department itself, this is more for the newer individuals on council, I believe that we have a culture and a history of dedication and service to the city of Wadsworth, and kind of coupled that with a respect for each other and a sense of duty, not just to the law, but to the city. And I think you saw that with former law director Norman Bragg, who was here for 46 years, former prosecutor Paige Schrock, who was here for 35 years. And as I just said, Brenda, when she retired, she had 35 years in, as well as Jessica, 29, 30 years now. The very last portion of the ORC states that the law director should address all other matters as he deems proper to promote the good government and welfare of the city. So in furtherance of that last clause, I want to say to each member of council that's a carryover, Ms. Hines, Mr. Yurchek, Mr. Stugmeyer, and President Rosberg, I sincerely want to thank you for making my first 2 years as the law director successful, productive, enjoyable. I enjoyed working with all of you. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for the great working relationship that you provided. And thank you for working and pushing things through every day. And you were always accessible and easy to get to, so thank you very much. And now, if I could address the new members, I just want to offer I'm going to go off a little bit and offer some simple yet effective advice from a person who was in a new role not too long ago. First, as a council person, be inquisitive, but be cordial while you're doing it. You know, be open and receptive to differing opinions, but at the same time, don't stand back idly if you truly believe in something. You know, don't be afraid to ask questions because none of us have all the answers. You know, remember when you serve on city council, you serve the citizens of Wadsworth, and the whole goal is just to constantly move the city forward. And it takes all of us. You know, no one in the city thrives without each little branch of government, from the auditor's office to the law department to administration to yourselves. And I think every elected official sitting next to me and every appointed official, you know, sitting next to me, they have knowledge and expertise in areas that we don't. And so don't be afraid to ask them to share their knowledge with you. Even though we have separate duties that are owed to the city, and those might not always line up with each other, it doesn't mean we still can't work together. I think one of the best assets we have here are all these varied officials. And in fact, I think most of them freely share their time and their talent and their knowledge with you. I can't tell you how many times I've walked down the hallway to get advice or input from Director Hiscock, Director Testa, from Mayor Labaugh, Auditor Fix, and not one time has any of them ever told me they didn't have time to talk to me, or they weren't willing to talk to me, or they weren't willing to help in some way, shape, or form. Take advantage of that. Honestly, take advantage of it if you can. There's people up here with a wealth of knowledge that will help fill in those gaps and make sure that you do well for the city. I just want to say I'm looking forward to working with the new council, especially President Rosbert. I hope we have a productive year for the city of Wadsworth. Mr. President, thank you for letting me address council.
Thank you. Anything else from administration? Anything from council?
I have something real quick. I've had some citizens express concern with, and I've noticed this too, the use of the emergency clause on pretty much every piece of legislation. And I just wanted to let my feelings be known going forward that I think we should give the citizens their 30-day review of things that don't need to be passed immediately. I just wanted to say my piece on that because there was a lot of concern. And this is not the first time I've heard that. That, you know, the emergency clause is for everything. But we should be giving a 30-day review when we can. And that's all I wanted to say about that.
That's why we tend to go 2 and 3 readings.
Yeah, and I explained that.
But once we pass it with the emergency clause, it goes into effect immediately. So that's why that is done that way. We, on anything, you know, just like the rate increase, that's why we wanted to go a minimum of 3 readings to give them the time to discuss and come back in. The emergency clause is just so we can put it into effect immediately. It has nothing to do with trying to bulldoze and pass something over to residents.
And I realize it's not.
Yeah.
That's not what it's for.
Right.
But otherwise, there would be a 30-day.
Correct.
Before it goes into effect. So I just want to let
Mr. Hiscock?
Mr. Rosbert, if I could just piggyback on that. So it's important to note that the statutes which require the reading of legislation and require an emergency clause if you're going to enact legislation quickly are designed for review. It's review for both the legislative purpose and the public purpose. A suspension of the rules clause, which oftentimes is attached to much of our legislation, talks to the suspension of that 30-day period or longer, really, in terms of legislation. The emergency clause is a little bit of a misnomer. As an attorney myself, I would tell you it's not emergency in the sense of Webster's dictionary emergency. That's not what it's designed for. The emergency language comes right from the statute, which basically says we want this law that was duly passed by the legislative body to take effect immediately. Where that comes about is an age-old issue that I think many folks have with government, and that is we move at a snail's pace in terms of when you compare us to the private sector. That's because we have legislative requirements and statutory requirements to abide by. The emergency clause, when it's attached to legislation, allows us to act dynamically. And by that it means it allows us to pick up the pace to enact legislation immediately upon passage by the legislative body. So it's two very different things. Suspension of the rules, that it talks about the 30-day process, the 60-day process, the 90-day process of legislation review, open to the public inspection and discussion purposes. And the emergency clause is really more about enacting it now so that we can move more dynamically as a government entity and not be bogged down by legislative process.
Yeah, thank you. I just think it's good to be clear for the people that don't understand the clause, but I know that it does enact it immediately, but there is some concern there, and I just want to make you aware of that.
It's a good thing for us to revisit every year because it is a common concern. So.
Yep. Thank you, Mr. Scott.
Anything else from members of council? Then I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
We are adjourned.
You are watching WCTV, Wadsworth Community Television.